just you guys. I was having a bad dream that I didn't get my waiver wire picks in this week. Oh my gosh. It's Tuesday. I've been asleep since Thanksgiving dinner. Oh my god. I gotta get to a computer and make my waiver wire picks. This is what we got for you guys today on the Degenerate Gambling Life. I'll catch you later.
Alright, how's it going everyone? Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, but now it's time to focus on those fancy playoffs and getting ready. Let's jump into some of the things we got right. Gonna be a little bit of a homer. Jacob calling you pick up Jordan Love and Jaden Reed. Both of those have looked like they've been great pickups, especially if you're in dynasty leagues. They look like they can be blocks that can help you for the future and the present. And if they're out there on the waiver wire, definitely look at scooping them up if you need help on quarterback or wide receiver. Finally, Jacob telling you pick up Josh Downs. He didn't have the best week, but he is coming off of an injury, and his ceiling is pretty high, and he's another player that definitely can help you in Dynasty. So please look at picking up all three of those if they're still out there. Next, the things we got wrong, I'm going to own it again. Defenses. I'm sorry, guys. I said to pick up the Saints defense, and they didn't come through for you. And finally, the Chiefs. The Chiefs looked like they've been a defense that you could just plug and play and start it the whole season. And yeah, I picked them for you guys, and definitely was not one of my best, so definitely apologize for that. So those are some things that we got right and wrong.
You want that plastic working come Miller time?
You know, I can foresee a lot of possible outcomes to this thing, and not a single one of them involves Miller time.
PMA. Positive mental attitude.
Welcome to Miller Time. I'm Kevin Miller with the DGL, and on this week's episode, I'm going to be discussing our waiver wire heroes on the year so far. I'm just going to go through every position and name the top impact player who I believe has helped out the most, starting at the QB position with Sam Howell. He is QB4 on the season, averaging just under 20 points a game. He does still have his bye week and a bunch of tough matchups afterwards, but up to this point he has been keeping up with Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. While I was advocating take an elite quarterback strategy this year, you could have gotten plenty of guys later in your draft or off the waiver wire like Sam Howell that have been keeping up with those top dogs for the most part. At the running back position, Kyren Williams. He is only RB26 on the season, but he is averaging 18.5 points per game. He was a top 5 running back after the first 6 weeks when he suffered that ankle injury, and now he's back in week 12 already making noise again. Kyren Williams, top RB waiver wire pickup of the year so far. At wide receiver, we're going to stick with the LA Rams, and not just because they're my favorite team, but Puka Nacua, coming in at wide receiver 9 on the season so far, averaging just under 18 points a game. He's had at least 7 targets in every single game and is averaging 90 yards a game. Even when Cooper Kupp has come back, he's shown to stay in the mix, so I think Puka Nacua is going to have a nice finish to the season. And finally, at tight end, from the Detroit Lions, rookie tight end Sam Laporta. He's coming in at tight end 4 on the season, averaging 13 points a game, and he's had at least a 72% snap percentage in every single game this season. That's huge, guys and girls. That is really, really huge. He's been scary consistent, and he's looking like he's here to stay, and he's going to start giving Kelsey a run for his money in the next few years. Those are my waiver wire pickups, or should I say gems of the year, and we'll check back in after the season's over and see who finished strong and see who else has emerged.
10. 10 ought to do it, don't you think? You think we need one more? You think we need one more? All right, we'll get one more.
What's up, guys? My name is Jacob Listowski with the Degenerate Gambling Life, and on this week's episode, I'm going to be talking about the best waiver wire pickups for Week 13. At quarterback, Jordan Love remains a good ad. We called him out last week, and he came through with a 26-point game. Love has been on fire over the last 3 weeks and has some solid matchups in the playoffs. He's solidly at that quarterback 1, quarterback 2 fringe going forward. Russell Wilson looked very good versus the best pass defense in football, putting up 2 touchdowns. Wilson has a high floor and is playing the best football at the right time of the season. He has a very favorable schedule down the stretch and is a good player to have for the fantasy playoffs. Matthew Stafford could be a good quarterback to stash away. He had a monster 4-touchdown game versus the Cardinals and could be a good stash for Week 15 of the fantasy playoffs when he'll get to take on Washington. At running back, Samaje Perine could be an interesting player to stash away. He looks good right now for the Broncos and could be worth having on your bench in PPR formats. Miles Sanders also could be a stash now that Frank Reich is out of Carolina. You never know if the interim coach would prefer to get him involved, and it could breathe a breath of fresh air into the offense. Definitely don't start him, but he could be worth having on your roster if you have a spot available. At wide receiver, Josh Downs is a solid option. He saw 13 targets this week, and you won't see volume like that on the waiver wire at this point in the season very often. Definitely scoop him up if you can. Brandon Cooks has had 2 good performances in his last 3 games and seems to be hitting his stride at the right time for the Cowboys. He's definitely worth a stash going forward for depth at the flex position. Michael Wilson is a guy out there who could be flying completely under the radar. The Cardinals' pass offense looks very good with Murray, and Wilson has the potential to be a league winner that came out of nowhere this season. Stash him away and see what happens. At tight end, Pat Freiermuth is going to be the number 1 guy to go get. He saw 11 targets this week, which he converted to 9 catches for 120 yards. This guy's going to be a problem going forward. Tyler Higbee is coming off a 2-touchdown game in which he saw 5 targets. He won't replicate that often, but he's worth stashing for tight end depth.
Because I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take from anyone. I smoke my stogie anywhere I want. I don't have to find a hideout place like you.
Come back! Come back! I'll never let go. I promise.
The player I'm letting go this week is Kyle Pitts. I'm not even doing it for myself. I'm doing it for you, Kevin. Because you just can't quit the Kyle Pitts, so you gotta let him go. And listen to me, all you guys out there. I get it. His traits, he just jumps off. I mean, he should be great, but after they traded Matt Ryan, he just hasn't had a great quarterback. And tight ends are so connected to their quarterback with the type of routes that they run. So Kyle Pitts, I hope your career can get on track with your next quarterback or they trade you. I mean, if somehow you landed with Dallas and Dak, I think you would just be a superstar. But at your current team and quarterback situation, gotta let you go. And all those other people still hanging on to him, please say goodbye to him with me.
And for my drop of the week, I hate to let you go, but Geno Smith. You know, I've been your biggest fan for a long time, but I can't do it anymore, man. I gotta let you go.
Last week we were giving thanks, and now we're back to dropping people. And like I was doing on Thanksgiving, sitting around watching football, I think it's about time that Tyler Boyd does the same thing. If you're not going to drop him, put him on your bench. Don't start him. He's got nothing going for him. Burrow's gone. Browning's in. There's really no upside here anymore, and I'm not even sad to see you go. I don't even hate to watch you leave, but we'll catch you later. Maybe next season.
Tajay Spears, I see the potential, but I also see the king, and his name is Henry. And it is that time of the year when the running game becomes the only game. And Derrick Henry is here to stay for this year, Tajay Spears. So you're going to have to hit the road and come back next year. Bye-bye, Tajay. Let's all hit the drop button. Ready and drop.
All right, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Defenses to Stream for the Week. This week, defenses I got for you. First up, we got the Falcons versus the Jets. The Falcons defense has been pretty good, and the Jets just haven't shown any life. Their offensive line's terrible, so you should be able to at least get some sacks and points from the low score. So definitely pick up the Falcons. Next, we got the Buccaneers versus the Panthers. They just let their whole coaching staff go, and the Bucs actually have a pretty decent defense. And poor Young, he just is running for his life. So definitely pick up the Buccaneers if you can. Next, we got the Jaguars playing the Bengals. Unfortunately, the Bengals lost their starting quarterback, and they just don't have their way about them with their backup Browning. So definitely pick up the Jaguars and their defense that could maybe help you in the fantasy playoffs. And lastly, being a little bit of a homer, you can go with the Packers versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs just don't have that many great receiving options, and the Packers have really good cornerbacks, and they're good at getting after the quarterback, and Mahomes has been running for his life. So look at picking up the Packers as your desperation defense for the week. Now, we'll go ahead and switch over to some fantasy basketball for you. 2 players quickly to think about adding. First, Derek Lively, center for Dallas Mavericks. He's someone that's young. It's his first season, and he has such potential. He's already putting up good numbers. If you're in a dynasty basketball, definitely try to trade or scoop him up. He's putting 8 points. He's giving you 10 rebounds. He's giving you 3 assists. He's giving you half a steal and 1 block. And he was supposed to be pretty raw coming out, and he's already almost giving you a double-double. So that's a great player to look to add to your fantasy basketball roster. Next, Cole Anthony, Orlando Magic. We've said this before. When someone's going off for Orlando, that is an exciting young team. So pick up Cole Anthony. He's averaging 20 points for the last week. He gets you 1.5 3-points made. He gives you 6 assists, 1 steal, and half a block. So he's definitely helping you in quite a few categories. So look at getting Cole Anthony of the Orlando Magic. Now, some tips for you about fantasy basketball since we're a little bit into the season. First, keep an eye on the minutes for players. Please, please, please do that. Okay? If they start getting less minutes, you need to cut them and look at that. Next, this is the number one thing you should be doing. Set your lineup daily. I get it. There's a lot of games. It's every single day almost. If you're being lazy, just open up the app, hit the set your lineup button, and there you go. You'll be amazed how many people you can beat by just setting your lineup daily. And finally, when you're looking for a player to add on waivers, look at the last 7 to 14 days. Coaches change their rotations unless it's a superstar. If those bench players, you need to see how they're being used. I never recommend looking more than 30 days. You just don't know how the rotation's changing and what the coach is doing. So really look at those last 7 to 14 days and try and stay on top of it whenever a coach is making that sort of change. So those are some tips for you for fantasy basketball.
I didn't think I'd ever need to tell you this, but I would be a bad parent if I didn't. Soccer was invented by European ladies to keep them busy while their husbands did the cooking.
Why do you have to hate what you don't understand?
I don't hate you, Bobby.
I meant soccer.
Oh, yeah, I hate soccer, yes.
Welcome back to the Degenerate Gambling Life's Added Minutes. I'm Jordan Tennis, and the Major League Soccer Conference Finals are set. We have Los Angeles FC set to host Houston Dynamo after each team handled their business 1-0 and knocked out Sporting KC and Seattle Sounders respectively. And in the Eastern Conference, we have a Battle of Ohio when Cincinnati FC hosts the Columbus Crew. Cincinnati got in by beating Philadelphia Union 1-0, while on the same night, Columbus dispatched Orlando City SC 2-0. The winner of each of these conference finals, which take place on Saturday, December 2nd, will move on to the MLS final, which will be played the following weekend on December 9th. Let's get into some quick touches on the English Premier League. Tottenham lost their 3rd straight game as they fell to Aston Villa 2-1. We saw Manchester City and Liverpool play to a 1-1 draw, which allowed Arsenal to leapfrog over both of them into first place after their 1-0 win over Brentford thanks to a late winner from Kai Havertz. West Ham and Brighton both tallied wins as they try to keep pace with the Premier League spots. A depleted Newcastle side absolutely clowned a resurgent Chelsea squad. and Alejandro Garnacho had the goal of the year with an incredible bicycle kick as Man United beat Everton 3-0. The January transfer market is approaching, so we'll see some good business done, always some panic buys, some bad business. There's always some players who want out of their clubs and have their eyes set on a new challenge. Let us know in the comments what teams you think will be buying, who's going to spend the most, who's going to fail. We know Victor Osimhen is Napoli's one-away striker, and he's being linked to the Premier League with either Manchester United or Chelsea. It seems he's not happy with his current situation and will try to force a move, with the London club set to make him a top priority. It will be interesting to see if Chelsea breaks the bank again as they did with Enzo Fernandez and Moise Caicedo, as Osimhen's release clause is upwards of $100 million. I mean, that is nothing to balk at. Having played all season with Christopher Nkunku out due to injury, and now he's set to make his return, does this kind of seem like a panic buy for Chelsea? I mean, all's not said and done, this is strictly rumor, but Osimhen is and definitely has been on form in Serie A these past 2 years. With European soccer being on all week via the Champions League and the Europa League, group stage is still going on. We hope you're having a good week, and we will catch you next week.
Alright, lastly, we got one poker hand of note from Windstar. We're playing 1-2. It limps to me. I'm on the button, and I have 8 deuce of diamonds. Not a great hand, but at the button, I decided to get a little out of line. I raise to 13, and I get 5 callers. So, not loving all that, but we go to a flop. The flop is 10 of hearts, 7 of diamonds, 2 of hearts. It checks to me. If that means callers, I just don't want to blow the pot. I do have a pair of ducks, but I check. Go to the turn, and it's a 4 of diamonds. So now I pick up a flush draw with my pair of 2s. So when it checks to me again, I bet $32. And I have 2 players fold between me and the player in middle position. And now the middle position min raises me to 64. 2 players fold between them, and I make the call. I'm getting great odds on this. I didn't quite understand what they're trying to push out with that, or what they were milking because they didn't raise a 4. But I figure at least my flush is good and probably trips, so I make the call. The river comes the jack of spades. The middle position now, he goes off and checks, and I don't really want to bloat the pot. I do have some showdown value. A lot of stuff misses here. So whenever I check and say paired 2s, he just shakes his head, flips over a ace king of clubs, and the whole table is like, how do you win with 2s? So it's one of those where I think his min check raise definitely helped push out someone that maybe had a better hand, and just having the position helps me. I think his biggest mistake was pre-flop. He should have 3-bet me and then barreled on the flop. But whenever he played so passively, it made it where I had a chance to scoop a pretty good sized pot with 8 deuce of diamonds and winning with just pair of ducks. And that leads me to a really good point. Whenever you have value on the river and you have position, there's no point to bet. Could have given him the chance to check raise me again and blow me off, and I definitely wouldn't want to be pushed off the hand. So definitely whenever you have some showdown, look to just check, and hopefully if you're right, you win the pot. Now finally, reminder, we will be in Vegas for the Super Bowl. That is February 8th through 12th. We'll be at Mandolin Bay having a meetup game on February 8th at 6 p.m. local time. Come up, say hi. You can play with us the whole weekend while we're in Vegas. We'll definitely have some merch. Can meet the whole team, talk different games that we like, and we look forward to meeting you guys. If you haven't yet, please like, comment, subscribe, and share.